Anthony Roberg Lopez on Middle States Team B, whose focus is on Standards 1, 4, and 6. Today we're here to present our progress on Standard 1, Mission and Goals. First, I'd like to introduce the other members of our team, Marta Newkirk, who wasn't able to attend today, Judy Stokes, and Todd Wilmot. Also, I would ask that all questions be held until the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tina, who is our PowerPoint guru. Thanks so much. We're about to put a slide up that illustrates how we present ourselves and our mission and goals to the public. It's front and center on the DCC webpage. So what you see there is what we're presenting as essentially our mission and goals and our responsibility to our community. Now, as many of you know, we have a liaison with Middle States by the name of Sean Mckittrick. He has a lot of roles at Middle States, but at DCC specifically, he's been assigned kind of as an advisor, and we found his input and his help to be very valuable for us. He made a number of comments. He spent quite a bit of time discussing the DCC mission and goals, and he did consistently and frequently emphasize that clear and distinct mission and goals help an institution make good decisions. And I think we can all agree with that. Sean's comments on our mission statement are that it is, quote, relatively typical and well done. He likes the fact that it reads like a community college. He was happy to see the word transfer as well as occupation, technical, and certificate programs. He said that including lifelong learning was, and I quote, brave. And he likes our expression of the love of learning. Sean thinks that our institutional goals are on target, but that we should link them to the DCC strategic plan. He thinks our institutional goals look fine. He says not too long, not too short. He does not like to see only 2 or 3 institutional goals. Bear in mind, he is not one of our evaluators. This guy's just there to help us. Finally, he believes that significant thought was put into the development of our goals and that they are not generic, yet they are familiar. Now, again, this input was significant as an anchor for our group as we began to evaluate the mission statement in general and the goals individually. The job of Group B is to determine if what we are saying we do is true. Do we meet each standard? Do we exceed each standard? Do we fail to meet each standard? And as you'll see, by and large, we've done very well, and there are spots where we need work. We need to do better. Not only do we have to determine which of these 3 levels of compliance we've achieved, this is the interesting part, and I see many other Middle States folks out there, we have to prove it. And we prove it through documentation. Throughout our presentation and going over various of the goals, we selected 3 and 8, basically just to show you how it's done. We've done our research. We've created a brief narrative, and embedded in the narrative, we have links to our documentation. And this is essentially what Middle States has asked us to do.
So, what is our current mission statement? The mission of Dutchess Community College is to provide open access to affordable, quality post-secondary education to citizens of Dutchess County and others. As a comprehensive community college, DCC offers college transfer and occupational technical degree programs, certificate programs, lifelong learning opportunities, and service to the community. College provides educational experiences that enable qualified students to expand their academic capabilities and further develop thinking and decision-making skills. By providing a full collegiate experience, the college seeks to ensure that all students achieve their individual potential. So the way our team approached this was to take each goal and review college policies, programs, websites, and other materials to determine if we met, exceeded, or failed to meet the Middle States criteria. So starting out, our 14 institutional goals, these were taken directly from the college catalog. To provide courses and programs to prepare students for transfer to 48 colleges and universities, as well as to prepare students for employment. We do this very well. 36 of our 60 programs are transfer programs. Our academic programs are the heart of the college. To offer educational programs that provide for the basic skills supporting opportunities for flexible lifelong learning. From real estate licensure to English as a second language to providing opportunities for seniors to audit classes for free, we do this very well. To provide non-credit vocational, professional, and self-development courses and programs, and to offer public service activities for the community. I'm going to skip over this for 1 minute because the next slide is one of our samples of the narratives that we've worked on, and just cover to provide student support services to help students achieve their individual potential and participate in a full collegial experience by providing career, academic, and personal counseling. DCC offers so many student support services, including but not limited to the Office of Counseling and Career Services, Accommodative Services, and C-STEP, just to name a few. We have many, many support services available to our students. So we've selected this goal to show you one completed narrative with embedded documentation. How did we go about creating this narrative? One team member researched the goal. Then our team met to review and draft and brainstorm additional ideas, go back and revise, and then follow up on afterwards, at which point we finalized the draft narrative, which is what you're looking at right now. You can see we've got some links embedded in here. This one is covering number 3, which was the provision non-credit vocational professional self-development, and the Office of Community Services offers all sorts of non-credit classes. There is other things, kids and teams on campus, Dutchess One Stop, our outreach. And we'll say some more about this as we go along, but this is just a sample to give you an idea of the kind of work and research that we've done and put together. I'd like to point out that as data and supporting materials are gathered, they're being digitally deposited into a wiki, which is a dynamically changing digital repository. Most people are familiar with Wikipedia. The idea is very similar. You create this data repository, you can add information to, and it grows over time. So back to goal number 3 for a minute. I'd like to point out that through the Office of Community Services, we provide hundreds of non-credit courses a year. The college works with various outreach organizations, and there are plenty of community activities offered, such as the Pumpkin Chunkin, Math and Science Matters, etc. To access the competencies of incoming students and provide an academic experience that will afford all students the opportunity to be successful, the Office of Academic Services and Testing does a remarkable job with this. In fact, just recently they were awarded the prestigious Frank L. Christ Award for Outstanding Learning Center. And to maintain a policy of open access supported by outreach efforts to attract a diverse student population and offer continued support to ensure a diverse college community, we have an ethnically diverse population that's served in different ways. We are a fully handicapped accessible institution. We offer open houses in both the fall and spring. We invite high schools to bring their students to campus. We have a variety of programs that cover this. And to maintain an environment in which students recognize their social and political responsibility to the community, the nation, and the world. From social problems in the classroom to the Model UN in New York City, to the study abroad programs, DCC provides these opportunities to encourage social responsibility. And I can speak personally, my son just graduated from DCC and he just came back from spending a month in Nepal working in an orphanage, which was encouraged by fellow students here at the college to do that.
Number 8, to provide an intellectual and physical environment conducive to inquiry, expression, and learning. This is the second of the 2 goals that we decided we would use our sample. I need the next slide. There it is. This is very close to complete. As those of you who are working on this know, as you gather more information, you embed more things. But number 8 is another goal that we achieved very well. We have very good academic support services. We have the Washington Center for Science and Art, the Francis Hugh and Mary Efforts Library, the Writing Center, online tutoring. There are a broad range of facilities on campus that satisfy this goal. So this is another one that I think we do pretty well. Number 9, to promote effective communication that creates and maintains trust and respect within the college community. We have campus-wide emails, PSO Discuss, newsletter out of academic affairs, an emerging foundation, we hope, for a more integrated system of communication, This can be done better. This will be one of the goals where we will pay attention and see if improvement can be made. Number 10, to provide opportunity for participation in college governance by members of the college community. We have PSO, we have ASC, ISC, DSC, lots of letters. The students have SGA, which is a very effective opportunity to participate in college governance. So there's a lot of avenues, there's a lot of ways to participate, and we do this pretty well. Number 11, to maintain excellence in teaching, learning, and administration by providing opportunities for professional development. Tuition reimbursement is a really good thing, and I think that helps a lot of our community. Sabbaticals, mini grants, support to conferences. I personally have been supported to conferences, not only in the United States, but at least one abroad conference. Professional staff development workshops that are created by and supported by our own faculty. The Van Winkle Learning Center is a broad range of resources that have allowed us to meet this goal as well. Number 12, to continually monitor and evaluate institutional effectiveness. That's evolving, folks. Standard 7, being worked upon by our Team A, is addressing this. We will be more engaged in this as the process continues, but we are not there yet. Again, that's an evolving issue. 13, to provide the local community with access to college-sponsored cultural, intellectual, and recreational activities. Another one where we do a good job. We again have study abroad. The Office of Community Services is excellent. We have lyceums open to the public. Even Saturday morning, if you have children, we have an open children's program on Saturdays. We have films open to the public. The craft fair, believe it or not, is very popular in the county. This is has created a situation where Dutchess is a vibrant community resource. So this is a goal that we achieve well. Finally, 14, to encourage a recognition and understanding of the personal and cultural differences among our students, people in the community. Again, we have study abroad. We have Hispanic Heritage Month, and I know the people who work on that because I'm on that committee. There's a lot of dedication placed on that endeavor. Black History Month, same thing. Enormous amount of work, very effective program. Women's History Month. We have, as Tina has mentioned, really pretty good accessibility for a Hilltop campus. So trying to recognize all kinds of differences is something we do well. I think it's a success here at Dutchess.
Do we support our present goals and missions? Mission, yes, we do. How does the achievement of our goals support the Middle States fundamental elements? Middle States provides a series of fundamental elements as a framework for evaluating each standard. It's our job to determine how well we are doing this.
Do the mission statement and subsequent goals guide faculty, administration, staff, and governing bodies in making decisions related to planning, resource allocation, program and curriculum development, and definition of program outcomes? That's a yes and no. One of the things that we've discovered, and this is something I think our cabinet struggles with, is that planning and resource allocation is out of sync with other ongoing processes at the college. And that's something they're addressing. So, this is one of the points that may need a closer look.
Does it include support of scholarly and creative activity at the levels and of the kinds appropriate to the institution purposes and character? Yes, we do. We offer many programs of both scholarly and creative nature, including 60 plus academic programs, 15 categories of non-credit programs, and hundreds of creative programs. There was over 10,000 enrollees last year in the various non-credit programs.
Are the mission and goals developed through collaborative participation by those who facilitate or are otherwise responsible for institutional improvements and developments? The answer is yes. A college committee reviews the mission and goals, and it has a varied constituency.
The catch-22 on that statement, though, is are they periodically evaluated and formally approved? And unfortunately, we have not kept up on this. The last formal review by committee was in 2005. The one previous to that was in 1998, actually.
So that's being looked at as well. Are the mission and goals publicized and widely known by the institution's members and constituencies? That's a yes and no. Are they widely publicized? The first slide is smack on the front of the webpage. It's in the catalog. The mission and goals do appear in a variety of places. Have people been discussing them? Have they been a topic of concern? Maybe not so much, but we're going to, another thing to pay attention to.
And are the institutional goals consistent with the mission? And yeah, the way they presently are defined, they are.
Do the goals focus on student learning, other outcomes, and institutional improvement? Yes, and very successfully. And this is sort of an odd way of presenting this, but in terms of student learning specifically, and remember these things come from middle states who are responding. In terms of student learning, goals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 11, and 14 are solidly focused on providing the best possible learning opportunities and environment for our students. In terms of other outcomes, if we consider, for example, the college's contribution to the Dutchess County community, goals 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 13, and 14 as well, strongly comply with that stated mission. And finally, in terms of institutional improvement, goals 8, 9, 11, 12, and 14 are all focused on improving DCC across a broad range of criteria. We have finished all but one of the 14 goals. We have one left to do, but this is a way to show you how we approached it, how our work has progressed, and where we're at. So, next slide is going to say, any questions? You're worse than my BHS 103 class. Yes.
Stephanie, you, back a while ago, you talked about professional development, supportive professional development, and you seemed to say, yes. From what I've understood, for a number of years, there's been very limited allocation for
professional
yes,
development?
yes.
Then that's why we're here, and that has to be included.
Because you were saying, conferences, et cetera. I think you said that. Conferences, mini grants. There have been no mini grants.
They were
for many-
suspended, I know. Now,
There still are no
but if they
mini
haven't
grants.
granted,
Improvement of instruction grants are,
are.
improvement of instruction grants are back, but that's just recent.
Okay.
And, I guess I look at it and I say, is this a report for the number of years, or is this, if you're going to report on the last, let's say, 5, 6, 7 years, then that has been a huge weakness. Does it seem to be changing a little? Yes. Okay, so there, but from what I understand, there's been very limited support of professional development activities, for faculty at least,
That has to go into the report. I've been supported at a conference last year and the year before by the Office of Academic Affairs. So I've had support, but that's
When you
me.
say support though, my understanding is that registration fees were paid, but nothing else was paid.
I got travel.
So I would ask that you look into that much more deeply.
I think that's absolutely legitimate. We will do that. So what we'll do is when we meet on Friday, we will flag this goal as one that has to be revisited. And the specific thing that you have brought out, we will we'll discuss. Todd's here, Judy's here, we're here. We all heard it.
My own.
But you're right, because
We used to have reports that came out that showed what had been supported. Those disappeared. We don't have those anymore. And to me, it would be very telling to look at what used to be supported and then what isn't. It can't be anecdotal.
yeah, because I don't, and you're right, because we don't have that information.
I think there must be data from years before as to how many
Then we'll get it.
sabbaticals were granted every year.
I know in the archives there's sabbatical reports, but these are really old. We're talking about going back to the 70s.
10 years at least.
Maybe the 80s, but nothing in current decade.
Tony, actually,
Yeah,
Tony?
and don't forget about the situation with sabbaticals. They were suspended for a while, and if you look at, since they've been reinstated, one or two maybe, and if you go back to before they were suspended, there were often a number of sabbaticals, 5, 6, or 7 awarded in a year. And I'm very curious about this travel situation, because for the past 3 years, before Jose came in, the previous dean, Carl Denti, told me repeatedly that academic affairs would only pay conference fees and would not support travel for
I
everybody.
think Pete paid.
Hmm?
I don't think it was academic affairs, I think I misspoke. I think I got the funds, I think I got the admission, I remember the registration fees.
Uh-huh.
But come to think of it, now that you mention it, I don't think I got the travel from that office.
Well, it'd be interesting to know.
Well,
Yeah, no, I, to be perfectly honest with you, I think you're correct. I mean, I got there and I got back. But I will look into, again, I'll
We
just
agree
check
that
my
you're
own
back.
records. What'd you say, Tony?
We agree that you're back.
I am back. Well, most of me is back.
Yeah, one of the things we have to understand is that as these standards, there's a lot of crossover between the different standards, and they all kind of flow together. The issue of professional development talks about it in terms of the institution. Does the institution do something towards professional development? Under different standards, example of Standard 10, there's a specific fundamental element that talks about what is done for professional development of the faculty. And then there's also, under the other one, what is professional development being done for the administrative. So some of that stuff has to be addressed in those standards.
But that's the,
And then-
these are
and then tying it back. So
These are-
this doesn't necessarily going to answer everything,
Right.
but in 10, they should be looking at the questions you're talking about is, what types of professional development done, how much funding is provided for professional development. All that stuff should be identified under the
But
other
then that
respective
should
standards.
also, though, be passed, I mean, at least the synopsis passed in numbers.
We do this in our team.
Well,
I mean, in our mission. and
Okay,
goals.
I don't disagree, we say we do it, we got to,
We
we
need
have
to,
to demonstrate.
this is where we need to look at where the related standards and how we cross that over into the work that they're doing.
But again, we'll look at the last 10 years, these are legitimate questions, this is supposedly why we're doing it, we'll do it. We're starting to meet on Friday, we will revisit this standard, and we will look at everything that you guys have, brought up, and take a look at it. And if Standard 10 is...
I would check with those in Standard 10 to see
Then we'll
what
have
they've
some
done.
concrete
related to that.
documentation to incorporate. That's research, that's reporting. So, thank you, good comments, yes.
Yeah, Stephanie, just, you looked at the mission and the goals as they exist now or have existed, correct? Is there also discussion to change or alter them if needed? Because I feel maybe there should be at least a mention of student learning outcomes,
Yep.
since this is now so much part of the institution. And
To
should
to
really-
answer your question, we first off, this was, the mission was really easy, because I think everybody understands our mandate is just to look at what we've done over the last 10 years. Now, obviously, when we look at what we've done and we get the results, that's what you take to make recommendations, suggestions, whatever. There absolutely will be discussion, particularly because we do have that out of sync issue with the planning. Absolutely, it won't be just us, but I think there'll be a broad, am I right, Bill, or am I misspeaking?
Well, yeah,
A
and-
broad discussion.
And that
about these
issue is being
issues.
addressed by Working Group C, which has the planning as well as the resource allocation standards.
Mhm.
They've been looking at that, and obviously they're going to try to address, because again, all these goals fall into a lot of different standards.
True.
You're looking at it from the top level. Some of the real detail will come even further down.
And if Joanna, help me clarify, if what I'm hearing from everybody, because we're learning as we go, come on, is that what we've done is basically report as to whether there is a mechanism or a formal statement that these, for example, professional development opportunities exist or are institutionalized. Okay, your very legitimate remarks have to do with whether, existing or not, they are actually being carried out. And I think Bill has just told us that that data is coming out of number 10.
In 10, one of the fundamental elements talks about professional development of.
So we will have to figure out, were we just supposed to say, yes, we have A, B, C, D, E, F, and G? Or is it our role in assessing this particular goal to say, yes, we have all of these, but in terms of their having been activated or put into action over the 10 years, there's been an ebb and a flow, you know, whatever. I mean, help us, folks, because it said questions, but it also said comments. Yes?
Well, I think your point is well taken, that you're doing a look at where we've been over the last 10 years. And it's the college, all of us, it's our responsibility to take that information and decide what to do with it, including things like revisiting what are the institutional goals. And as a Middle States process, we actually started last January suggesting to the college that we needed to be looking at our mission and goals, and that was a great place to get started as a college in gearing up for this gap analysis. So as a steering committee, we started this process with the idea that our mission and goals might need to have a look-see taken, and this analysis is sort of reinforcing that point.
We've also heard suggestions from people that we have too many goals. I mean, Sean Mckittrick liked them. He thought, you know, this is great, but then again, he doesn't live here at Dutchess with us. We've had
a
some.
number of our goals overlap.
Yeah, there's another thing. We've
There's-
also had
they can be-
suggestions that
they
there's
can be collapsed.
redundancy.
They can be collapsed and consolidated.
Yeah, so, again, having said that, our mandate is not, you know, maybe we will make some suggestions along with the larger group when we all get together, which we're gonna do, about those changes that should be made based on what we've done in our in the last 10 years. But fundamentally, and all the other groups, I see all our other group leaders out there, it's our understanding that we're here to look at what's happened in the last 10 years. There are some holes. I mean, certainly we haven't reviewed these often enough. We do see things, yes.
With respect to Sean's comment about the goals not being tied to the planning,
Yes.
actually for the last 2 years when we've been using TrackDown,
Mhm.
there is a utility in there to tie everybody's objectives to exactly those goals, and it does get used.
Can you send that to us? And
I have that data, and I started looking at that data actually from.
Yeah,
from
I mean, I think that's
and-
important because that's happened within this 10-year timeframe.
and it is-
And it should be
Before, we
included.
couldn't relate the goals to planning, but we do that now. We maybe could do that better, you know, I would suggest.
One of the things that
But
I
it-
noticed was that in some cases, the departments could potentially link a goal through to the, from the strategic plan to the goals and missions, and that possibly not being done. And that will be part of our gap analysis, which we have not completed yet. So, but I do have all the data.
And we have everything in draft form. I mean, we will, you know, we work frequently, we work often and we work hard. So we are more than happy to revisit everything, yes.
So I'm curious about the 2 institutional goals we adopt each year that used to be the core of what guided the planning process. And also the group of 5 values: caring, reputation, integrity, pride. There was one more. Excellence. And the ISLOs that we adopted. Where do we capture that kind of stuff in the whole Middle States process? Does it belong here with mission and goals, which seems quite specifically to refer to what's published? And how does the rest of that stuff fit into this process?
It's not our group, so I'm going to have to defer to Bill and Pete.
Do we capture that anywhere?
Well, the values, it's mission, goal, values fall into, you know, what we stand for. I didn't
Yeah.
remember all the other ones.
Yeah.
I mean, student learning outcomes really goes under 14, which is
Yeah.
student learning
Yeah.
outcomes. And again, all of those other things fall under, everything should be directed down off of mission and goals. So when we talk about our goals, do our goals really identify, you know, you went through and you could identify things that were related to all those. But the question is, are those really the goals that are to lead us going forward? And that's where, you know, at some point, we really have to sit down and have a review of saying, you know, what do we want, what are our goals over the next period of time, and then work towards those goals. I mean, for a lot of years, we've had 14, and, you know, we kind of return those, and we kind of continue to reinvent. You do talk about the institutional goals, and again, I've been here a short time, but my understanding of the institutional goals is that, you know, as we go through time, it's not a static environment, and certain things
Right.
become priorities, and we should put those out there as a priority and focus on those. So it's a good question is, why do we have that if we have 14, why do we have these two over here? You know, if we really had
and are
5
they-
or 6 good institutional goals, we should be able to have all those things fall underneath that. So that's something that you're going to have to take a look at, and, you know, do we revamp kind of that structure of, you know, 14 goals? And again, you have to understand that under Middle States, they're looking for us to report on what we do under all 14 goals. So that creates a lot of extra, you know, spread for us, as well as all of a sudden we're throwing in all of these one-year institutional goals, or strategic objectives, I guess they're called,
College objective.
college objectives. So,
Do we track those and track that
Yes.
now as
There's a plan.
along with the 14
The three
institutional?
things that get tracked out with the objectives are the 2 college-wide goals,
Okay.
the 14
And the 14
institutional
now.
goals,
And-
and the 6 SUNY-wide strategic goals for
Right.
SUNY
Okay.
that the chancellor has in
So
her
now that's
strategic.
all there.
That's all available for people to tie to their objectives.
Got it.
Like I said, I think we could probably do a better job at utilizing them effectively. You know, I mean, I look to make sure that every objective has at least one goal attached to it. I don't critique how the objectives are submitted other than that.
So track that only connects, it doesn't assess.
right.
No, it doesn't assess. I mean, there's multiple parts of track data. The academic part is different, and the assessment can take place within courses and programs that way. I'm not speaking about that, I'm speaking strictly about the plan. And in the plan, the objectives that are done are connected to goals, and the objectives all have statuses with them. So you can look at what actually did happen with that objective. But there isn't anything that says, oh, we did this great at this point. I mean, the data is there, something could be put together like that, but it doesn't actually assess the plan.
So you can see we have all these different goals that are all kind of, are out there that fall, and that's the question in under standard 1. You know, there is that disjoining of, you got SUNY saying, here's what your goal should be. We have our 14 goals, and then we also have the annual goals, or strategic objectives. So,
But we were basically tasked with the mission of these 14. That's what we were told to assess.
What about the other parts?
That other stuff?
And they're bringing it up. It's incumbent on the college community to have these conversations and within our structure and function to address, is this the structure that works best for us? If not, how so? And that should be a college-wide process or resulting from the Middle States self-study, but it's not the work group's work, it's the whole college's work.
Right, but what's important to me with the whole planning piece is to be able to say, we didn't used to be able to do this, but we can do this now.
And you said we've done it the last 2 years.
We've done it
so
for 2 years.
That needs to get into, this is why we're talking, that has to get in. Oh, it is in the write-up? We'll give it
It is somewhere, I know it is.
That's another thing. You know, we're giving you, I have actually, as right here, 3 of our write-ups. We've got 12 write-ups. 2 are on their way in, and they're really much more complete than us just standing here and saying, yeah, pretty good, it needs work. And they're available. They will be available to people to look at. Certainly, any and all input can only help us in this process. Yes?
Is there a place in terms of the self-study that, so we have the, the mission of the college, but then we have 2 divisions, the student services and the academic affairs, and the student services has started to work on their mission, and then as well as creating learning outcomes, and I know we all know that the academic side has been doing that. Is there any place where we're sort of going to be connecting the 2 sides? Because when we were struggling on our side to sort of retrofit almost the learning outcomes for student services, it's almost like that's an afterthought to the ISLOs and what's happening on the academic side. So where.
You're gonna have to address that to Bill.
But
We
I
actually have
think
very-
just the cabinet's having a 2-day retreat at the end of this month, and almost the entire agenda deals with the whole issue of this institutional assessment, how do you bring it together, and how does it all work together, and exactly what you're saying, things that are being here, what's the structure, and how do we go forward, bringing it into a smooth flow.
And I would point out
Come up
that
with some answers.
there are 4 corners to the college now too. And that everybody's goals should be converging on whatever ultimately becomes our institutional goals. That we're all working towards realizing those same institutional goals and demonstrating how each corner of the college supports the rest in the foundation. That we're all working towards these ultimate goals of student learning and students achieving their goals and what the college is ultimately about. That's really a shared mission, but we haven't articulated that as completely as we might want to.
And speaking for myself, not even for the whole group, we will complete taking a good hard look at what's happened in the last 10 years. Then the next stage really is, we will make, not necessarily, we have been told that suggestions are sort of cream puffs, that we do or do not have to make changes, but a recommendation, we formally recommend something, we have to change. Am I wrong, Bill? We have to address it and make change.
If, in our self-study, suggestions are things that we really should be doing, or changes of things we should do. Recommendations in the final document are things that we will have to report out at the PRR in 5 years.
Okay, so there's a big difference between suggesting something and recommending it. In terms of recommending that the mission statement change, and that a better mission statement can be crafted for the college, that's such a collaborative effort of all of the committees, that's not something that we single-handedly, we can certainly contribute. The 14 goals, is there overlap? Well, yeah. Do we need all 14? Again, that's another discussion. Our committee is not probably going to come out and say, okay, get rid of this one, this one, this one, and this is the rewrite we have for you for the mission statement. They're too big. Exactly, those are campus-wide discussions. So we are assessing and reporting, and with input, that I'm already getting, that will come to us, and we'll start incorporating the things that you're telling us into our write-ups. Our best effort and our goal is to create as accurate an assessment or an evaluation of how Dutchess has met these goals and how faithfully we have adhered to the mission in the last 10 years as we are able to establish. Does that make sense? But again, a lot of the things we're talking about here are not in the purview of what we were tasked to do, although they're really important and we will contribute. Other questions? Comments? I like your comments. Yes?
I would also suggest, I think you already kind of nailed it earlier when you said the review of our mission and goals has been lacking over time. And that we have to establish a process, because it won't look good if all of our documentation is 4 months old when we submit it.
Exactly.
So that won't ring true.
And it's not healthy for the college. This is something that, we know we have to do this. This has been glared out of our group study. That's one of the 2 biggest things that we're saying, oh boy, this needs work. And what is the result going to be? A healthier, better college, which is the whole point of the middle stage process as it is. So you're absolutely correct. We're going to look at it. And 4-month-old information and $2 will get you right on the subway. Come on. Other comments? We want this to be powerful and dynamic, and we want it to be accurate, and we want it to go toward, basically the whole aim is to make this place a better place and really good for our students. My God, as bad as my anthro class. Define Australopithecus. There will be a quiz. Even that doesn't get on one. We good? Other questions, other input? I mean, we get lunch?
You get lunch. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Several months ago, you mentioned that,
Joanne, would you show me